Right now, the tropics are waking up, and we have some big problems to talk about as we need to prepare for another system in the Western Atlantic moving towards the United States into the middle of this upcoming week. If you are not a subscriber to this channel, now is the time to hit the subscribe button down below as I cover all of North America, including southern Canada, the United States, and the tropics on this channel. And be sure to press the thumbs up button to get all this weather information out to as many people as possible. Diving into the weather forecast here, the tropics are very active across the North Atlantic. We have two areas of interest here across portions of the tropical Atlantic, just off the coast of Africa here, and a fish storm that could develop over here into the open waters of the North Atlantic. Of course, we do have Hurricane Franklin that is still spinning over here into the Western Atlantic, and then we also have Tropical Depression 10 that has developed just to the east of the Yucatan Peninsula. Looking here at Franklin, Franklin is a hurricane at 85 miles per hour, and we are seeing that moving to the north and west at 8 miles per hour here. It is going to become a major hurricane as soon as today, and that will stay a major hurricane going into the early part of this week, and really just remaining a hurricane in general throughout the entirety of the week as it kind of spins up here and moves just to the west of Bermuda, then just north of Bermuda, and then off here to the east and missing portions of eastern Canada. So that's some good news there, as it's just going to be moving over the open water of the North Atlantic. Looking at the intensity of Hurricane Franklin, we do expect a major hurricane, a Category 3. There is still some opportunity for this to become a low-end Category 4, but most likely a Category 3 at its peak intensity as we get into that Tuesday or Wednesday time frame. And you do see the significant wave height here. This is in feet, and you can see Tuesday into Wednesday as the system really starts to get wound up. Category 3, possibly low-end Category 4 strength. We could be seeing some stronger waves, even some rip current issues across the Carolinas, Virginia beaches, and then up here into portions of the Delmarva region. So we really need to keep an eye on that as we go into the middle of this week. Otherwise, our next system that we really need to keep an eye on is Tropical Depression 10, that has been named down here, or hasn't been named yet, but it will be named Idalia as we move forward. Because look at the shear here. We have a lot of stronger shear into the Gulf of Mexico right now. That's kind of suppressing some of the intensity of this system. But look, as we go into early this week on Tuesday, you do see that this system is going to start to lose the shear, and that means it's going to start to strengthen as it approaches more of those warmer waters out there, lower shear hurricane environment here across the eastern Gulf of Mexico. And look at these sea surface temperatures, folks. This is in degrees Celsius, and it's well into the 80s and 90s out here Fahrenheit when you see these water temperatures 30 plus degrees Celsius all across the Gulf of Mexico widespread here. And actually, the warmest part of the Gulf of Mexico is in the eastern and northeastern reaches of the Gulf of Mexico, and that is where this system is heading. So we're going to continue to watch that. And you can see the National Hurricane Center does have the cone of uncertainty out, and they are giving it here a hurricane tag as soon as Tuesday morning, and remaining at hurricane status as it makes landfall somewhere in western or northwestern Florida, likely into the Big Bend area as we go into that Wednesday morning time frame. Right now, it has maximum sustained winds of 35 miles per hour. The movement right now is southwest of 2 miles per hour. It's going to be spinning down here for a while near the Yucatan and western Cuba. We already have tropical storm warnings down there, and also tropical storm watches for this system. Looking back, though, to Hurricane Michael back to 2018, it did take a very similar path to where this storm is originating and where this storm will be going. So looking at this, Hurricane Michael did rapidly intensify from a Category 1 to a 2, rapidly up to a Category 5 hurricane at landfall there into northwest Florida. Now, I'm not saying this storm is going to be a Category 5, definitely not looking at that, but this system could rapidly intensify as we move through the middle portion of this week. So looking here at one of the hurricane models, it does very well. You can see a 995 millibar low just to the east of the Yucatan Peninsula. this afternoon and evening. It will be strengthening as it pushes between the Yucatan and western Cuba. If it stays over the open water here, it will have more of an opportunity to strengthen, and the pressures will lower even further as we go into Monday there. And then going into Tuesday, as it approaches portions of western Florida and over the open waters of the eastern Gulf of Mexico, this will still remain a 962 millibar low, likely a hurricane as we go into Tuesday, and it looks to make landfall right now as a 943 millibar low here in the Big Bend area of Florida as we go into Wednesday morning on August 30th. And then as it pushes away from Florida, it'll kind of move right along the coast there of Georgia and the eastern Carolinas here from around Savannah, Georgia to Charleston, South Carolina to Myrtle Beach, and then up toward the Wilmington region as we go in toward that Thursday and even Friday time frame as it slowly begins to weaken there. But if it remains over the water, it will be stronger. Near the coast, it'll be kind of more of a tropical storm status there. And if it's obviously over land, it'll be a much weaker system. So it's a little bit more uncertain of the intensity of the storm by Thursday, Friday as it moves across the Carolinas. As we go into that time frame, we'll keep an eye on that. But regardless, the heavy rainfall and flooding threat will be there. Here's the total rainfall accumulation now through your Thursday time frame. This takes us through the end of August on August 31st. Widespread rainfall amounts of 3 to 6 plus inches across southeastern portions of Alabama, most of the state of Georgia here, much of Florida, especially where it makes landfall here near the Big Bend area. Lots of very heavy rainfall there, and then spreading up there into South Carolina. The Carolinas going to get hit by some pretty heavy rainfall, even up here into southern Virginia. Could see a couple inches of rainfall as we go through that Thursday time frame. So make sure you are prepared. Lots of rainfall, lots of flooding looks to be on the way, regardless of what this system will do wind-wise as we go through this week. Looking at the flooding aspect here, flash flood probability Tuesday, August 29th into Wednesday, August 30th. There is a slight risk of flash flooding here across northwestern and western Florida there, say from the Naples region up through Tampa Bay, getting up toward the Gainesville, Florida region, Panama City, and Tallahassee. That spreads into southwestern Georgia and far southeastern reaches of Alabama, with a marginal risk of flash flooding extending all the way up into the Carolinas and into western Virginia there through Wednesday. Going into Wednesday afternoon into Thursday, that spreads that slight risk up into the eastern Carolinas there, Myrtle Beach, Wilmington, getting into the Charleston region, Savannah, Georgia, Macon, Georgia, those areas, and also Tallahassee, Florida, as we go into that Wednesday, Thursday time frame. That'll be something to keep an eye on. The next named system here will be Idalia, so it's likely going to take the name Idalia as we go in towards that, say, Monday, Tuesday time frame as it strengthens to a tropical storm and it potentially even into a hurricane. Looking at the eastern Pacific Ocean, we do have a tropical system out here as well. It is weak. It is Tropical Depression 10, and it's going to continue to press off to the west, likely getting into tropical storm status as we get in toward the afternoon here today and as we go through portions of next week before falling off as it moves into cooler waters further in toward the central Pacific there. The next name there in the eastern Pacific Ocean will be Irwin, so we'll keep an eye on that. But again, nothing really to worry about there, because that will be moving away from North America and over the open waters. Looking closer to home, heat-wise, we do have the high-pressure center across the desert southwest, the Four Corners region, to be more exact, as we go into this afternoon. That's where the extreme heat will be, and then it'll continue to kind of meander back further to the west as we have a more significant trough moving down across southeastern Canada into the Great Lakes and northeast of the United States as we get through early on this week. And actually, this trough will help those two storms out here, Franklin and what is going to be named Idalia, to move those off to the east with time as we go through later next week. So that will be a helpful thing for this trough to do once it moves to the south and east. But for temperatures, we do see another day with triple digits, widespread here from Houston up through the Dallas-Fort Worth area, Shreveport over here into Jackson, and also even in towards portions potentially in and around the Atlanta Louisiana region this afternoon. So prepare for that. Much cooler temperatures to the north. That trough will be our friend up here with more temperatures into the 70s and 80s for the most part. And we also will be heating up out west with the high pressure system centered across those areas this afternoon. Moving ahead to your Monday, start off the work week here. We do start it off on a good note. We don't see many triple digits unless you live in coastal Texas, Brownsville, Corpus Christi up to Houston, and even Lake Charles, Louisiana, cracking into the triple digit point. 113 in Phoenix as we go into Monday afternoon. The heat will be on out west, but we will continue to see nice and comfortable temperatures for the most part for this time of year across the Great Lakes, the Ohio Valley, the Midwest, the Central Plains, the Northeast, the Mid-Atlantic, you name it, across those areas on Monday. That continues into Tuesday, although we start to heat up a little bit across the middle of the country by the time we get into that Tuesday time frame. Looking longer range into early September now. This is September 1st, 2nd, all the way through the 7th and 8th time frame, so really just the first week there in September. We do march that heat wave a little bit further off to the east, and we start a new heat wave across the middle of the country there, likely well above average temperatures favored across the southern and central plains as we go into the first week there in September. That is verified by some of the ensemble guidance. This is the GEPS, the Canadian ensemble guidance, showing into early September well above average temperatures here, really east of the Rockies, with cooler than average temperatures west of the Rockies there into the Pacific Southwest, California, Nevada, up into the Pacific Northwest. We will be a little bit cooler than average at times for that first full week there in September. Looking at the precipitation, it will be wetter across the Pacific Northwest, but drier where the heat will prevail, especially across Texas, getting into Oklahoma here, the Tennessee Valley, Arkansas. Those will be the driest of areas during the first week there in September, and you can see that again verifying on the ensemble guidance where you see the yellows and oranges here. That's likely where we're going to be seeing a lot of drier conditions prevail through the first full week there into September. Looking precipitation wise, total rainfall accumulation now through this next Sunday here on September 3rd, you can see where the rainfall will be associated with our tropical systems out here across the southeast here from Florida, getting into Georgia, Alabama at times. Tennessee could see some heavier rainfall as well, potentially getting up into the Carolinas and Virginia. Maybe a glancing blow of some precipitation that could be heavier there for portions of, say, Cape Cod, getting down in towards the Delaware region or southern New Jersey. Otherwise, many of us will be dry here. It will turn more active across the Pacific Northwest and portions of southwestern Canada, say southern British Columbia, southern Alberta, getting into Saskatchewan up here with that trough here and to the west of that ridge as we go towards next weekend. Looking at that though, unfortunately, we're not going to be seeing much rain help for the drought here. We have more extreme and exceptional drought taking over much of Texas again, especially in southeast and east Texas, getting into portions of Louisiana. Drought is building again across the upper Midwest and the Midwestern regions down into the Central Plains, places like Nebraska and Kansas, still seeing widespread areas there, or at least pockets of extreme drought. So we're not going to get much help there as we go through the week. So the drought will be kind of feeding back into our temperatures. Remember, a drier ground does heat up faster than a wetter ground. So we're going to see likely well above average temperatures there into early September. Well, if you want additional weather forecast updates here, hit the description down below the video and the link to Twitter or X is down there. You can follow me at hweather420. You can find all those weather updates, especially with the hurricane pending there for Florida into next week. I will be updating on that platform very frequently. Also, go check out my winter weather forecast. It is down below the description of this video as well. If you have not checked that out, make sure to go watch that video. Lots of great information on this upcoming winter there. Otherwise, make sure to subscribe to the channel down below so you stay up to date on the latest weather forecast here all across North America, southern Canada, the United States, and the tropics. Be sure to press the thumbs up button, the like button to help get this information out to more and more people. Share this video on social media with friends, family, anybody you know. I do appreciate it, and I hope everybody has a great rest of their weekend out there.